The psychology of respect, why some command it while others beg for it. Why is it that some people walk into a room and instantly command attention, while others blend into the background, desperate to be noticed but never truly respected? Respect is not about charm, friendliness, or being liked. Those things are fleeting. Respect is about psychological weight, an aura of value that makes people think twice before dismissing you. It's not a gift others hand you, it's a boundary you establish. To be respected is to be non-negotiable, untouchable, and deeply rooted in self-worth. Admiration may follow talent or temporary success, but it fades the moment circumstances change. Respect, however, is harder to gain, and far more enduring. It rests not on surface-level accomplishments but on an unshakable internal truth: your value is not up for debate. The people-pleaser's trap, chasing approval like a drug. The desire to be liked often disguises itself as kindness or generosity, but at its core lies addiction. Every compliment, every bit of approval delivers a dopamine hit, a small rush that feels good but fades fast. Soon, you're hooked. You begin to crave external validation like oxygen, molding yourself into whatever others want just to keep the approval flowing. You smile when you don't want to. You agree when you disagree. You say yes when every fiber of your being screams no. But here's the danger: people can sense this weakness. They realize a sprinkle of praise is enough to control you. With a little flattery, they can make you overextend yourself, ignore your own needs, or tolerate their disrespect. In the end, the people-pleaser doesn't inspire respect, they inspire convenience. They become predictable, compliant, and forgettable. Their true self dissolves beneath layers of masks, and they wonder why they feel invisible. 1. The foundation of respect. Why some are respected instantly, and others are ignored. Two people walk into the same room. One barely says a word, yet everyone notices them. The air shifts. Eyes follow them. People lower their voices, straighten their posture, and measure their words more carefully. The other walks in talking loudly, smiling too much, eager to be accepted. They crack jokes, fish for compliments, and try to win over the crowd. But the reaction is lukewarm, polite smiles, nods, and then, indifference. Why? The first person carries psychological gravity. They don't beg for respect, they command it. Their presence speaks louder than their words. The second person, despite their efforts, projects neediness. And neediness is kryptonite to respect. From boardrooms to friendships to romantic relationships, this contrast repeats itself everywhere. Some people radiate value, others chase it. And until you understand the psychological foundation of respect, you will always find yourself in the second category, working harder but receiving less. The psychological weight of respect. Respect is one of the deepest currencies in human interaction. Unlike admiration or love, it isn't based on fleeting emotions. Admiration can be stolen by someone more talented. Love can fade when circumstances shift. But respect, true respect, rests on perceived value and unshakable self-worth. At its core, respect is about boundaries. It's the recognition that a person has lines you cannot cross, a dignity you cannot violate, and a presence that carries weight. Respect says, I acknowledge your strength, and I know there will be consequences if I treat you carelessly. Think about a mountain. You can admire its beauty. You can even love the experience of climbing it. But you respect it because you know what happens if you treat it casually. You respect it because it commands you to. In human interaction, respect functions the same way. The person who respects themselves, who enforces their own value, becomes psychologically unbreachable. People might not always like them, but they cannot ignore them. The evolutionary roots of respect. Why do we instinctively respect some people more than others? The answer is buried in human history. In tribal societies, survival depended on hierarchy. Certain individuals commanded authority, hunters, warriors, leaders, not because they were liked, but because their strength, discipline, or wisdom made them indispensable. To disrespect them was to risk exile, punishment, or worse. Even today, in boardrooms, schools, or family gatherings, these instincts remain. We subconsciously assess people's posture, tone, eye contact, and self-possession. If someone projects certainty and strength, we grant them authority. If someone projects desperation for approval, we dismiss them. Respect, therefore, is not a modern invention. It is a survival instinct hardwired into our psychology. Respect versus admiration versus love. To truly master respect, you must distinguish it from the two counterfeits most people confuse it with, admiration and love. Admiration is external. You admire a singer for their voice, an athlete for their skill, or a businessman for their success. But admiration fades the moment their performance slips. It's transactional. Love is emotional. It's powerful, intimate, and deeply human. But love without respect is fragile. People may love you and still walk all over you if they don't respect you. Respect is structural. It's about weight, boundaries, and psychological recognition. People don't have to like you or admire you to respect you, but they cannot treat you as ordinary once they do. This is why many nice guys, or people pleasers, struggle. They are often loved for their kindness, admired for their generosity, but rarely respected, because their kindness has no backbone, and their generosity has no boundaries. Respect as psychological armor. Think of respect as armor. It protects you in every interaction. In business, it prevents exploitation. Colleagues and clients know they can't underpay or undervalue you. In relationships, it sets the tone. A partner may love you, but without respect, they will manipulate or dismiss you. With respect, they think twice. In friendships, it ensures balance. You are not the one always giving while others take. Without respect, you are naked in a battlefield. You may be liked. You may even be loved. But you will be used, overlooked, and taken for granted. With respect, even those who dislike you tread carefully. They may gossip behind your back, but they won't dare violate your boundaries face to face. That's the difference between living as prey and living as a force. The first shift, internal sovereignty. Here's the paradox: respect begins inside, not outside. You cannot demand it from the world until you embody it within yourself. People who command respect share one core truth. They treat themselves as valuable. They don't over-explain. They don't beg for validation. They don't tolerate disrespect, even from themselves. Respect is psychological sovereignty, the ability to stand firm in who you are, regardless of what others think. It means your worth isn't dependent on praise or popularity. It's an internal law, not an external vote. The moment you anchor yourself in this truth, the world responds differently. People sense it in your tone, your posture, your silence. You don't need to shout, "Respect me." You live it, and others adjust accordingly. Respect as a filter. One of the greatest gifts of respect is its power to filter. When you live without self-respect, you attract takers, manipulators, and exploiters. They see your need for validation and feed on it. They sense your fear of conflict and push your boundaries. But when you embody respect, those same people avoid you. Why? Because you are no longer profitable to them. You cannot be exploited. You are costly. Meanwhile, the right people, those with integrity, strength, and vision, gravitate toward you. Respect doesn't just protect you, it purifies your circle. The core truth. Here is the truth most never learn. Being liked is optional. Being respected is essential. You don't need everyone to like you. You don't need universal approval. In fact, if everyone likes you, you've probably compromised too much. But respect, real respect, is the foundation of all influence, leadership, and power. Without it, you will always be manipulated. With it, you become unshakable. And that is where the journey begins. 2. The people pleaser's addiction. Validation as a drug. Every addiction begins with a chemical hit. For some, it's nicotine. For others, alcohol. But for countless people, the drug of choice is approval. It starts innocently. Someone compliments your work, praises your personality, or validates your choices. Your brain rewards you with dopamine, the neurotransmitter of pleasure and reward. You feel seen. You feel valuable. You feel alive. But like every drug, the effect fades quickly. And what do? You chase the next hit. Soon, you start adjusting your behavior, words, and even your identity to get another taste of approval. You become hyper-attuned to others' reactions. Did they smile? Did they frown? Did they like your post? Did they text back? This cycle traps millions in a behavioral prison. Their self-worth becomes outsourced, auctioned off to the opinions of others. And once your value is up for sale, the highest bidder isn't always the one with your best interest in mind. The mask effect, losing yourself for approval. People-pleasing doesn't look dangerous at first glance. In fact, society often rewards it. Teachers love obedient students. Employers love employees who never say no. Friends enjoy someone who always accommodates them. But beneath the surface lies a brutal cost: you lose yourself. The people pleaser becomes a chameleon, constantly shifting masks depending on who they're around. With one group, they're agreeable and cheerful. With another, they're quiet and submissive. With someone else, they exaggerate confidence or humor to fit in. Over time, this mask switching erodes authenticity. You no longer know where the performance ends and your true self begins. And the worst part? Others don't see the real you either. They see only the version you crafted to please them. This makes you forgettable, replaceable, disposable. Because here's the harsh truth: people don't respect actors, they respect originals. A mask may win temporary approval, but it will never command lasting respect. The predator's advantage. There's another danger to people-pleasing: it makes you a target. Manipulators, narcissists, and Machiavellians have a keen sense for weakness. They can spot a people-pleaser instantly, someone desperate for praise, terrified of rejection, and willing to bend over backwards to be liked. To them, you are low-hanging fruit. In the workplace, they'll flatter you into doing extra tasks, staying late, or covering for them. In friendships, they'll guilt-trip you into always giving, while they take endlessly. In relationships, they'll weaponize your fear of abandonment, knowing you'll tolerate disrespect just to avoid being left. To the manipulator, the people-pleaser is an ATM: insert a compliment, withdraw favors. And the more you comply, the more predictable you become. Predictability is power, for them, not for you. The illusion of niceness. One of the greatest lies people-pleasers tell themselves is this: I'm just being nice. But niceness without boundaries isn't kindness, it's weakness. True kindness comes from strength, not desperation. It comes from choosing to give, not needing to give. When you're nice because you fear rejection, your kindness is contaminated. It isn't generosity, it's bribery. You're not giving freely, you're trading favors for approval. And people can sense the difference. Ironically, the more you try to buy respect with niceness, the less you receive. People don't respect those who grovel. They respect those who have the strength to say no. Why approval addiction is hard to break. Approval addiction is powerful because it hooks into something primal: the fear of exclusion. For early humans, being rejected by the tribe was a death sentence. You needed acceptance to survive. Our brains still carry that wiring. When someone disapproves of us, it feels like danger. When someone validates us, it feels like safety. But here's the difference. In today's world, survival doesn't depend on universal approval. You can live, thrive, and succeed even if people dislike you. In fact, many of the most respected and influential people in history were polarizing. Breaking approval addiction requires reprogramming your brain to stop equating rejection with death. Disapproval doesn't kill you. In fact, it often frees you. The high cost of people-pleasing. Let's be clear, approval addiction has consequences. Heavy ones. Loss of time. You spend hours doing things you don't want to do for people who don't truly value you. Time you could have invested in your own growth vanishes in the service of others' convenience. Loss of respect. People may like you for your compliance, but they won't respect you. And without respect, relationships become one-sided. Loss of self. Constantly shifting masks leaves you hollow. You wake up one day and realize you no longer know who you are without others' approval. Loss of power. You give away control. Your mood, self-esteem, and direction in life are dictated by the unpredictable approval of others. This is the silent tragedy of the people-pleaser. They give everything in exchange for validation, only to realize the respect they craved was never delivered. Breaking the chains of approval. The first step is awareness. You must see the pattern clearly. Approval feels good but enslaves you. Once you name the addiction, you can begin to dismantle it. Here are practical steps. Detox from validation. Stop fishing for compliments. Resist the urge to check if everyone liked your post, laughed at your joke, or noticed your effort. Withdraw from the dopamine trap. Practice saying no. Start small. Decline an invitation. Refuse an unnecessary task. Watch how the world doesn't end when you disappoint someone. Each no builds strength. Rediscover your authentic self. Ask yourself, what do I really think? What do I really want? Start making choices based on your true desires, not on what gains the most approval. Reframe rejection. Instead of seeing rejection as failure, see it as filtration. Each rejection reveals who values you for you, and who only values you for compliance. Shift from approval to respect. Replace the question, do they like me, with, do they respect me? This simple shift in mindset transforms how you carry yourself. The turning point. The journey away from people-pleasing isn't about becoming cold, selfish, or unkind. It's about regaining sovereignty. You will still be generous. You will still show kindness. But it will be authentic, not manipulative. You will give because you choose to, not because you need to. You will no longer bribe others with your compliance, you will stand firm in your value. And here's the paradox, when you stop chasing approval, you gain more of it. People are magnetically drawn to those who don't beg for attention. Respect replaces pity. Admiration replaces exploitation. The people-pleaser becomes the person others now seek approval from. The core truth. Approval is cheap. Respect is priceless. You can spend your life chasing compliments, likes, and validation, or you can build the inner strength that commands respect. The former leaves you empty, the latter makes you unshakable. Break the addiction. Stop selling yourself for scraps of approval. Start living as someone who knows their worth. Because once you do, the world will have no choice but to recognize it. Emotional baggage and trauma, you inherit wounds that aren't yours. When you marry a single mother, you don't just marry her, you marry her past. Every scar, every heartbreak, every betrayal she has endured shapes how she sees you and how she treats you. She might carry bitterness from her failed relationship with the father of her child. She might compare you to him, silently or openly. She might project her anger, distrust, or unresolved trauma onto you. You can be punished for sins you never committed. Even when you give her love, she may not fully trust it. She has already seen love collapse before, and in the back of her mind, she may fear it happening again. That fear becomes a wall between you and her. And here's the cruel truth, no matter how much patience, love, or support you give, you cannot heal trauma that isn't yours. You cannot erase her past. You cannot carry her wounds without them eventually bleeding into your life. When you take on her baggage, you risk drowning in problems that aren't even your own. Backhand index pointing right. The lesson. Do not inherit pain you didn't create. Divided attention and loyalty, you will never come first. In a marriage with a single mother, you must accept one harsh reality: you will never be her top priority. Her children will always come first, and they should. But that means you will always come second, third, or even lower on her list of priorities. When decisions need to be made, she will think of her children before she thinks of you. If money is tight, her kids come first. If time is short, her kids come first. If emotions are stretched thin, her kids come first. That leaves you with scraps of her time, attention, and energy. And while she may tell you that she loves you, her actions will show you that her loyalty is divided. You will compete silently for her affection with children who aren't even yours. You will make sacrifices, but her gratitude will not erase the fact that you will always live in the shadow of her children. This isn't about cruelty, it's about reality. No man wants to build a kingdom only to be a side character in his own home. Backhand index pointing right. The lesson. If you are not her priority, you will eventually feel like a stranger in your own marriage. The hidden power of the child's father, a shadow you can't escape. When you marry a single mother, you are never truly the only man in her life. Whether absent, distant, or actively involved, the father of her child holds an invisible power over your marriage. If he's absent, you deal with her resentment toward him. If he's around, you deal with his presence in your home, even if it's just through phone calls, visits, or financial arrangements. Every school event, every doctor's appointment, every holiday, he lurks in the background. He may disrespect you, undermine your authority, or even attempt to win her back. And the law will protect his right to be involved in ways you cannot prevent. Worse still, he will always have something you don't, a biological bond with her child. That bond ties him to her life permanently, regardless of how strong or weak their relationship is. You could give her everything, your time, your money, your loyalty, but you can never erase him. He will always be there, like a ghost you can't banish. Backhand index pointing right. The lesson. When you marry a single mother, you also marry the presence of another man, whether you like it or not. Loss of freedom and control, the cage you walk into will close behind you. When you marry a single mother, you don't just give up your freedom, you sign it away without realizing it. Your time will no longer belong to you. Every choice you make must pass through the filter of her children. Spontaneous trips. Unlikely. Late nights out. Questioned. Pursuing your own ambitions. Often sacrificed for family responsibilities. Your money will no longer be fully yours. Every paycheck you earn will be stretched across needs that aren't yours: school fees, medical bills, clothing, groceries. Even if you want to invest in your own future, her children's immediate needs will come first. Your authority will no longer be absolute. You may try to lead the household, but you'll always face invisible barriers. The children will see you as the outsider, and society will see you as the stepfather. That means limited respect, limited influence, and limited control. Freedom is the foundation of a man's peace. Without it, he becomes bitter, resentful, and trapped. And the cruel truth is this: once you step into that cage, society will tell you that you must never leave it. If you do, you'll be branded the villain, the man who abandoned a woman and her children. The final truth. Marrying a single mother doesn't just cost you money or energy, it costs you your freedom, your peace, and your ability to live life on your own terms. Conclusion: the harsh reality. Marriage is already a battlefield, but with a single mother, the battlefield is tilted against you from the start. You inherit financial risk, emotional baggage, divided loyalty, and the permanent shadow of another man. What begins as love can easily turn into sacrifice, resentment, and regret. A wise man does not walk blindly into a life of struggle disguised as love. Guard your freedom. Guard your future. Guard your life.